Oh,
I feel like I'm in a scary movie. No. You should keep the scary movie theme.
you can't.
Dude, where I can just see your face. Oh my god.
What's up, man?
Oh, bro, I thought I heard somebody point that. You all right, man?
Yeah, you good, man?
Yeah, I'm good, but
Cool. My bad, man.
You all right?
All right, you can hear me, man.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Hey,
Just a lot
hey,
of shit
hey.
going on.
Can barely see. I realize that. You all right? You gonna make it?
Yeah, I'm good, man.
All right.
Where's Ryan?
I think that he's trying to figure it out. I think he's just trying to get in. So, did you figure out what we were going to talk about? Episode 1, Volume 1,
Is this
Chapter
it?
1.
Shit, man.
Word motherfucking 1.
Where do you start, man?
Start from the bottom and just go up from there, I guess.
Started from the bottom, and I'm still here.
I got, I guess, some things to talk about, or some ideas that we can, at least one idea that we can bust around. It's got to do with love, though. I don't know if you're ready.
I don't know if I'm good for that, man. I'll try.
No, I think that I think you're perfect for it.
It usually falls apart just when you think it's going well.
I actually think that you're the perfect one for it.
That's funny, man.
Out of everybody here, you're the most perfect.
I don't know what that means.
Yo.
Hey, Foley.
Check. 1, 2.
Damn, dude, you look real different, man. You like a bunch of letters.
Holden looks like he's in a fucking closet.
Holden looks like he's in a scary movie, man.
Hang on. If I can get the camera going.
Hold on, man.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
What up?
What's good?
What up?
What's poppin', man?
What?
We're like matching with the backgrounds.
Yeah, bro. I got the blinds. You got the door.
Uh-huh.
Are you in Laurel studio?
No. I'm in where am I? I'm in Pine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They kicked me out of Laurel.
How's the Ostrom, brother?
It's good now. I can finally see it. I was in quarantine for 2 weeks, so
Yeah.
I was just going to dining and running up and down the main road. But now I can at least go places and see the head honcho and all that good stuff.
What's up, dude? I saw the videos you were posting in front of the temple today, man. Super positive, motivating vibes. I love it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think that's what I want to do a little bit more of, and I think that's just what's kind of needed, man. Instead of like the controversies and arguing and trying to prove, ourselves right and you wrong. I think just sending some positive vibes.
I 100% agree with you, dude.
Holden, are you in a house or are you?
Dude, I'm sitting in my car now. I was outside, like right outside the house, but it's dark as fuck out.
Holden's on the run, I think.
Nah, bro. Don't even joke about that shit. I'm in my car, man. I got a street light lighting my face up.
It's kind of creeping me out a little bit, but it's all good.
I got no alternative, man. There's fucking people in there. It's just loud.
It's all good, man.
Where's your dome light, bro? You got a dome light? The reading light, like right above your head.
I got a car light. I don't want to kill my battery. My car's not that great.
Oh damn. That looked good though for a second.
Man. I'll turn it on sometimes. When I say something really smart, I'll just turn this on real quick.
No, I kind of like the floating head though.
It's not a bad look, man.
That's Halloween vibes.
Cool. So maybe we'll just since we're all a little new to this, I'm already feeling a little a little nervous just to do this with you guys recording it. Um, but yeah, let's just do a little run of this podcast, the Deep Pockets podcast. If that's it's just a working name, not finalized or anything. Um, and the at least the idea that I had for this was, and I'm all ears for new ideas, but the idea that I had was um, like each time we do it, someone brings in a topic that everyone else there does not already like know, and so that when everyone's responding, it's like genuine and like organic, and you can't like pre-plan anything. Like it's just whatever you're really feeling, you know.
Right, right. So this week's topic is Scientology.
Oh shit.
Just kidding. Relax.
and
Cool.
and it'd be real cool if like once we start like having other our guests on, it'll be I think it'd just be dope to for everybody to give their take on the topic, and then to take like a dive into the guest's story and stuff, whatever it is that they that they feel they want to share. um so without further ado, if we'll just dive into it, the topic at least that I had in mind that I've been really feeling a lot more here, um, the way that I would describe it is capacity and having capacity. Shit. Ryan said no more of that. No, your camera went out, so I was like, I thought you just
I just bailed. I'm like, yeah.
he's got no capacity. Nah, but capacity in the sense of having capacity for someone else or like just others in general. Not that I think that goes even beyond just people. I mean, just capacity for life in general. So I guess we'll start by what is your guys' take on capacity and having capacity for someone else or just people or life in general, and how does that really like affect somebody? Like, does it empower them? Does it cripple them? uh what would you take, what would you say
Um,
your take on
First of all, can you elaborate a bit on what you mean by capacity? Maybe dive a little deeper into that, because that's just a word, right? And it can trigger
right?
different in each of our brains. So capacity may mean one thing to me and another to Holdyn. So what exactly do you mean by capacity? Are you talking about just like the ability to hold space for another human, or what exactly?
That's yeah, that's what I'm leaning towards is being able to include somebody else,
Right.
and yeah, like you said, creating space for them, um taking them in as like a part of yourself. um I think people who have like families and stuff, they at least from what I've seen, they tend to hold capacity for their families, for their wife, for their kid, their husband, their grandparents, and all that kind of stuff. But um, are you able to like stretch that capacity and include even someone else that is kind of like a stranger to you, you know, in that sense?
Yeah, well, all the top scientists these days, and most people won't believe anything unless science proves it, right?
Right.
But even science now is saying that everybody is one thing, and that consciousness is permeating all of existence. And quantum physics is proving now, without a shadow of a doubt, that we are all one. We have these individual points of view and these individual perspectives, but the the fundamental nature of reality is all inclusive. And through the lies we've been fed, and just the programming that you go through your life, you're conditioned to make that just your family, or just your family and your closest friends. But in reality, it's all inclusive. That's the way it is, but it's a lot of people shut that off, you know, because we have this, especially in this country and most Western countries, we have this go out and do it yourself. You don't need help from anybody else, you know, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, you know, and make something of yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
when I went to India, it kind of blew my mind how like the families all live together there, you know, like you'll have aunts and uncles and cousins and stuff all living in a single house. And in the US, that would never fly, you know. In
That's
the
actually
US,
very interesting. Just
go
to,
out and make your own life. We don't want you here anymore. And so the Western world is very divided. And it's happening now in India and a lot of those other countries as well. They're getting Westernified. But, you know, not too long ago, we were pretty all inclusive, you know. And of course, you know, there's always divisionary stuff going on. There's always wars. There's always nations and race and, you know, whether you're gay or straight or black or white or all of that that divides us, you know. But I think a lot of people can see past that, you know. And you know, it's definitely not everybody, but I think a lot of people can see past it. I definitely can. I can take somebody who I don't agree with on any beliefs, or you know, I don't agree with anything they do. Even maybe I think they're living an ingenuine life,
mm-hmm.
and I can still have a conversation with them and show them love and respect. You know, if they're open to that. And I don't know, man. I think it's getting better. It's hard to judge for me because, you know, I've only been alive 27 years and all I know about the past is what I read on my screen, and who knows how true any of that stuff really is, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
I believe capacity to include everybody is there, and it's fundamental, you know. It's just we've forgotten about it.
I actually have a couple questions to poke into on that, but if Holdyn, what's your take on it?
I think uh, one thing that came to mind is uh, I've heard like you only love who you love based on memory. Like you only know who's who based on memory. And if you all of a sudden, if you had amnesia, who your wife is, who your son is, none of these things would really mean anything to you if your memory was completely erased.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, I think that's something interesting to look at when you're talking about capacity to love people, because actually it's all it's really just whatever you make it to be. And I've tried in the past to really see everyone like the whole Isha thing is like see everyone as yours, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
make the whole world yours. And I've tried that, and I've had different varying levels of success with it. I would say right now I'm on a downslope. I'm not seeing much as mine,
Mm-hmm.
but I've had other times where it really feels like a lot of maybe insecurity is taken away because like uh, it's I mean there like Ryan was saying, there's really no major differences. Every difference is a superficial thing. It's like who you fuck, what color your skin is. These are the things that really divide people somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and if I don't know, if you want to, you can embrace everything. Is my point.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what all the ascended masters throughout time were trying to tell people, you know, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, whoever you believe in, whoever is your guy, you know, or maybe you're like me and you follow all of them, you know, and you watch it all and try to pull truth from it. But there was all this, they all had this common thread that was just love each other, man. You know, they call it the golden rule. They used to teach
Right.
it in elementary school to us. I don't know if they teach it to kids now, but you know, just do unto others how you want to be treated, you know. And unfortunately, the stuff we take in from our television screens and our computer monitors doesn't push that at all. Yeah, there's a lot of people out there pushing that, don't get me wrong, but the mainstream stuff that most people are consuming, it all highlights our differences. It all highlights how we're different from each other, and how like other people need to change to fit into your little box, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's unfortunate that, like, well, like you were saying, Holden, imagine if you forgot all of that. Imagine if you forgot everything that you've learned through your TV screen and you were just a child again. on the playground. You know, watch children on a playground sometime. They're not hating each other, you know, and it's a couple rare cases where someone's parents told them something, you know, that makes them hate. But really, really young children that haven't been indoctrinated with that yet, they're out hugging each other on the playground. They're all playing together. You know, every now and then you get someone who gets singled out, but for the most part, everyone's got smiles. They're laughing. And you just don't see that in adults too often. And that's the Isha thing too. You know, like when you take inner engineering, one of the big points of that for me was when you just go out and play together, and they ask you like, who are you really? You know, and you're like, oh, I'm a doctor. They're like, no, who are you really? You know, and they're trying to get you back to where you were when you were a child, where you were just playful and you were doing what you love to do without anyone saying, well, you got to go out and make money now, so figure out something that makes money, you know. So forget about all that love and happiness and playfulness, and go out and make something of yourself.
One thing that came up as you guys were talking was so the whole thing about conditioning, right? And it's this idea that whatever we're displaying is a result of the conditioning. And I was looking at what's actually at the root of it, like at the root of this conditioning where there's a divide that I am me and you are someone else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That difference actually starts happening. What do you think is at like the core of that?
Well, the
Fear.
yeah, but also the word person, right? Persona, the Greek word persona, it means a mask that you wear, right?
Mm-hmm.
And basically what they would say is you're like an actor in a play. And so
Mm-hmm.
yes, we're all one. Before the singularity split, we were all one, and then we decided how fun would it be to each have our own individual perspective and put on these masks and play, you know. And I think there's a way to do that without hating each other and without, dissing on other people for the way that they choose to play their character. But unfortunately, there's, I hate to sound like a conspiracy theorist. People say that if you have any sort of ideas that go against the mainstream, but I feel like there's some sort of agenda being pushed to keep people separated and divided, because the only way that we have any power is together and united. If we're constantly fighting against each other, your life is in ruins essentially.
Right, and the conspiracies is that's part two of this.
Yeah, we won't dive too deep into that tonight.
We're gonna brush the surface on that. Oh God, what were you saying again about the conditioning again? There was something that I wanted to touch on.
Who, me or Holdyn?
Ryan.
Shit, I said a lot about it. What specifically?
Something that you said triggered an idea that I wanted to share, but it's not coming.
He was talking about personas and how they're masks, right?
Right. Yeah, and nowadays we got a persona on a persona.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Mask on
A lot of
mask.
people have different personas depending on who they're hanging out with.
I was saying the actual mask that we're wearing. That
right. Yeah, true. Yeah. And I feel like now more than ever, what I was talking about earlier about us, having no power when we're separated. Well, look at what's going on globally. We're being separated. We're being told, I just saw it in the news earlier, don't have too big of a Thanksgiving. Six people max. So they're basically saying, don't hang out with your family, don't get together.
That's really interesting. I didn't hear about that, but that reminds me of something I've heard in the past, where they'll always say on the news, whenever it's holiday time, they'll say things not to talk about with the family during Thanksgiving. And they'll tell you like the main things to not talk about are religion, politics, and something else. But it's like the main three things that fucking matter, right? Like don't discuss them.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting. But I'm sorry, continue, man.
No, 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 no. That's a really good point, man. It's yeah, it just seems to me like, I don't know. We're being pushed further and further apart, and that's not a conspiracy theory. Everyone can see it. Depression's at an all-time high, substance
Hmm.
abuse is at an all-time high, domestic violence is at an all-time high. People just aren't stoked right now. They're not happy. And when you walk around the world and you can't see anybody's face, everyone's got a mask on.
Hmm.
That has a psychological effect on you. And there's a lot of psychologists doing studies on this. And one of the big questions is, what's more dangerous, getting COVID-19 and getting sick and having a real high possibility of recovering from that and going on with your life, or getting these deep rooted emotional, psychological issues that are much, much harder to heal.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know what? I It's crazy because personally, I don't suffer those psychological issues at all. Like, because I don't think it's a concern. I don't think it's a risk. I walk around. I'll wear a mask where I have to, but I don't. I'm not worried about it. But I can see if I believed all the shit they're saying, if I
Right.
truly believed what the news was telling me, I would be in all kinds of mental illness.
You can see it written all over everyone else's face though, because I feel like it affects me less than others as well. Because like I wouldn't even be wearing a mask if I didn't have to wear it to go into,
Right, right,
the only
right,
reason
right.
Right.
I wear it for other people because I want to respect them. They're afraid.
I
They're
wear it
they're
because it's the law, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's the law. But you can see it on their face, right, Holden? I mean, look at people, dude. They're not happy, man. When you go to the grocery store, I had two people get into a fight, like a physical fight in the grocery store because one walked too close. The line to check out was wrapping around and there was no way to get through the aisle. And one dude pushed his cart too close to another guy, and the guy's like, "Hey man, can you give me some space here?" And it just escalated. I was just like, holy crap, dude, what is happening to people?
That could also just be like just a lot of bottled up emotions just coming out,
Yeah, yeah,
erupting.
for sure.
Yeah, I was
It's funny. I'm sorry. One more thing
go,
I want to
go
say
ahead.
is funny. Is funny to me is you'll see at the stores and the gas stations, they'll have these markers on the ground, like stay 6 feet apart.
Hmm.
And then the markers themselves are maybe 2.5 feet apart, but they're saying stay 6 feet apart. So a lot of this is just psychological manipulation.
Oh,
It's
dude,
just,
we can have a whole thing on this. I mean, to me, another just ridiculous thing is whenever you go into a restaurant, like you wear you
and then
wear
you take it off to eat.
you wear your mask like the first 5 feet in, and then you take it off.
Right,
But
right, right.
everybody, all the people that are working there are wearing their thing, as if whoever is coming in and taking it off is not contaminating the place. Like if it was real like that, the entire thing just looks ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't want to dive too much into the COVID stuff. I do appreciate you mentioning it. But the whole thing we're talking about here is inclusiveness, and I just feel like it's being demolished right now. It's like, stay
Yeah,
away from people, be
yeah.
afraid of your neighbors, be afraid of the your taxi drivers and the people delivering your food, and just be afraid of everybody. It's really
Dude,
sad.
anytime there's been a significant movement towards inclusiveness, towards unity, they get squashed down. And I think it's interesting. There's these groups rising up right now. Like, I don't know the name of it, but I just saw on the news like some black militia leader guy. I don't know if you've seen him. Have you seen this guy I'm talking about?
No, I try not to watch the news too much. The only thing I know about the news is everyone tells me about it. That's how I hear about it. And
Right.
then the few things I see on Facebook, I try not to scroll through the feed too much. I post stuff every now and then, but
Well,
no,
it's
guy.
I was just gonna say it's basically this black militia, and this one leader dude is like this pissed off black dude, and they're all like they got weapons and camo gear on and shit. And it just made me think how like the Black Panthers, who were like peacefully organizing and just feeding the kids breakfast, they had a morning breakfast program, they got infiltrated by government agencies and destroyed and wiped out, and their main leaders killed, and all
Hmm.
they were doing was asking questions and peacefully coming together. But you got these other groups, and as long as it's of a divisive nature, as long as it's me versus them kind of thing, or black versus white, they'll let it go on. They just let that shit play out. But if you have an actual group bringing together people, that won't fly. And I just think that's really interesting. Like you see Martin Luther King get shot, but then you see these hate mongers fucking just allowed to walk around and live. It's pretty obvious to me what that indicates.
Right. One. So since we're touching on this, I wanted to share just one thing about the conditioning. Um, so for me, at least the way that I see it, at the root of the conditioning, um, are like the I am statements, like I am brown or I am white, I am black, that I am thing. I am a doctor. I am a lawyer. I am straight. I am gay. I am whatever it is. I am Democrat. I am Republican. I'm Indian. I'm American. Um, all those I am statements to me are like the first level of that's like the first walls I think that are put up. Like because if I'm saying I am this, that's I think also implicitly saying then you are that.
Right. Yeah,
And,
you're
and
physically separating yourself.
right, and I think if you look at how it is today, like people are, it's like that whole I am thing is getting even more like perverted is like the right way I want to put it. Like I'm a Republican from America that went to University of Georgia, that is IT professional. Like there's so many layers to it, like levels of identification that I think if you keep on identifying, you're just putting yourself in like a smaller and smaller box. And to me, at least, that was at least the first part of this um, conditioning thing that separates everybody. Like I'm Christian, I'm Muslim, all those. It's just every one of those kind of I am statements. Um,
Yeah, and the more of those statements you make, the further away you get from who you really are.
right, right,
You know, at the core, who were you? Who were you when you were born into this world? Before someone told you the Christian values, before someone told you the Muslim values, before someone told you that you were black or that you were a Jew. You know, a black kid doesn't know he's black. You know what I mean? He
exactly.
doesn't, not right away, anyways. You know, yeah, of course, when as he gets older, he starts to see the way society views him. But who were you when you first came here? Who were you before you came here? You know, if you believe in reincarnation, if you believe in an eternal soul, you know, I realize some of our viewers might not believe in that, and that's fine. But
But even you don't, right?
who were you when you first were born? You know,
Exactly.
you don't even got to take it before that. Who were you when you first came into this world? You weren't a Republican or a Democrat. You weren't a computer programmer or a doctor. You know,
that's
you weren't.
why that's why I think the phrase Black Lives Matter is so damaging because there's no black lives. There's just life, right? And the color of your skin making you a different kind of life is really a strange tactic to use. And people buy into it, man. They eat it up. They eat that shit up. Um, I just thought from what you were saying that sounded like it tied in like Black Lives Matter, and then you got people returning and be like Blue Lives Matter, and then no one's getting to the issue that black people and cops are both human beings.
Yeah,
Exactly. It's like when did being a human not be good enough?
right, right. Yeah,
Everything's politicized, man.
yeah,
So
yeah, man.
since we touched on like the COVID thing, we've tossed in the Black Lives Matter thing.
Knew it was gonna go there. I mean,
And-
it's what's happening right now.
exactly, and honestly, like I want to go deep into all of it, but I think for like a starting point, um, one thing that me and Holden actually mentioned this to me, and I think this is step number one. That's being missed out on. That's being like looked down on, and that's the whole thing about asking questions. Like you like one of the first things you said was, well, if I start saying these kind of things, they might look at me as a conspiracy theorist, and that word is so interesting because what exactly is a conspiracy theorist, right? It's just somebody who's asking questions, someone who's not taking whatever's presented at face value. right? I'm just asking a little bit more questions to see if there's anything back there. Maybe I feel there's something more behind it. And
Yeah, the theorist. You're not saying it's fact; it's a theory.
right,
But
right, right.
they're making it seem like all these people think this is exactly what's happening, and they're crazy.
Right, right, right. But to me, it's really about asking questions, and
Yeah.
and just like what you guys had said, like if you question the narrative or what's popular or the mainstream, it's like a thing that you get ridiculed or you get criticized or you get exiled or something. And so I think there's a lot of fear to even ask a question for the fear of getting like ridiculed or
I have a question that's not related.
you're always asking questions.
Hey Ryan,
Yeah, what's up, man?
how do I turn off my my hazards, man, in my CRV?
There should be a red triangle button somewhere.
Two
It's
triangles.
on top of the steering column, like on top of the steering wheel.
Nice. Clutch as fuck, man. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Mhm.
Good deal.
All right, continue, Justin.
No, no,
Sorry
no,
about
no.
that.
It's, that was important. But yeah, the just that whole thing about asking questions, I think that needs to be like a thing, and that
Yeah,
needs to be like a positive thing. Someone asking questions,
for sure, for sure.
and I think one thing that we were talking about is I don't know if we need to get into this too much, but um, why would somebody not want you to ask questions?
Right. I've seen this with my own two eyes, man. I'm sure all of us have. If you start prying around too much around a certain subject, if you start asking questions that people are uncomfortable with, they don't want to think about it. They just get uncomfortable, and then they'll shut you down in some way, however they can. Um, and then the thing that comes to mind is like, why is there such thing as an uncomfortable question? Why would a question make someone uncomfortable?
Hmm.
Um, if
Well,
you
it's like the whole cognitive dissonance thing, right? You have these beliefs, we all have them, they're all different. And when something challenges your beliefs, it's very uncomfortable. And a lot of people are, as soon as that little bit of discomfort comes in, they don't know how to react to it. All these emotions start welling up, and it makes it awkward, right?
hmm, well, it doesn't, that right there, what you just described, that phenomenon doesn't happen to what I would consider intelligent people. If if
Just a
if
bunch of idiots.
if a person has some kind of life experience, or if they have some critical thinking skills, then usually that's how you can see the people who have some intelligence versus the brainwashed sheep, man. Is like, how far can you carry a conversation? How many questions can you ask? How far out can it go without them reverting back to the brainwashing?
Right, but it's not their fault that that's happened to them, dude. I mean, like, we're all programmed in certain ways. And
Right.
yeah,
That's
what you say
true.
is an intelligent person. Some of these people may very well be intelligent people. They're just misinformed, and
Mhm.
a lot of them are highly emotional. If you tend to think with your emotions more than well, I don't want to say your brain, your mind, your consciousness, whatever it is, uh, then these conversations can be very uncomfortable because we've been taught in this society to suppress our emotions, to not, like if someone asks you a question and you feel like you're going to cry, it's going to make you feel really awkward because you feel like you can't,
Mhm.
or if you feel like you're going to get angry, maybe you'll hold that back because you feel like you can't do that. It's not socially acceptable. And so a lot of people are very emotional, creatures, and it makes it difficult for them to even discuss anything that goes against their beliefs or what they know to be true, right?
Right, right. W- One of the reasons why I saw why someone wouldn't want someone else asking a question is if they feel this is this is going to sound total conspiracy, but if they feel like um, if they don't want you to find out what they've got or to poke around and that you might find something out, they won't want you to ask questions, nor will they want to entertain your questions, nor will they provoke you to ask questions. You know?
You
Yeah.
mean if they feel like you're gonna find out something about them personally?
Yeah, like you, Holden, are you a reptile?
I'm not a lizard, man. I'm not a reptile. I can say it confidently.
So you got nothing to hide, so you're not afraid to receive that question. But the lizard who didn't want, to be found out, he would not want to keep on going with those questions.
Are you
Right.
saying that? Are you saying that someone with some secrets to hide, like some shit about their personal life, would not be able to hold a conversation about like
Someone inquiring into their personal life.
no, about 9/11? Like the two are unrelated, right? But you're saying that a person wouldn't be able to have a conversation about one or the other.
You're saying if I'm trying to hide something in my personal life that I'm also not able to explore into other things?
No, I thought that's what you were saying.
No. I was just saying personal life as like an example. Like even if we were talking about like if for my personal life, right? If I was married and if I was um, cheating on my wife, which I wouldn't do.
Never say never, man.
If I were to do something, I feel I have the integrity to tell her. I hope, but if I were doing that and I didn't want her to find out, then I wouldn't want to entertain her asking questions into it, right? Because then I might get found out.
Right.
So with the whole 9/11 thing, if um, if you asking questions makes them feel uncomfortable or they're trying to dodge your questions because they feel that they might get found out, they won't want to entertain your questions nor provoke you to ask questions. They'll want to just douse it off, like brush it off and just kind of avoid it.
Yeah, but we're talking about most people don't have anything to do with that. Most people weren't involved in that. So why would they be afraid? There's
Of
nothing
asking
to
the questions.
there's nothing
Right.
to expose them on.
Right. Okay, so why would somebody be afraid? So why would somebody be afraid? I'd say like the one thing I'd say is the whole fear of getting like ridiculed, getting criticized, getting outcasted, getting labeled as something else. Um, to me, I think another thing is people. It's like in that with that wife situation. If my wife was really feeling like insecure, that if she lost me, she would be in a much worse condition. She may not want to inquire into asking those questions about am I cheating on her for her own
Yeah,
like security.
I think there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah, with the 9/11 thing, like a lot of people, they don't want to think that anything besides the official narrative could have happened because how scary is that? A lot of
Right.
people say our own government perpetrated that attack, right? That's a well-known fact that people are saying that. Now,
Right.
somebody who lived in New York City and witnessed that whole thing go down, how tough is that for them to believe, like to go through their life not believing that it was, terrorists that did it? For them to change that and make that a reality, dude, now they're living their whole life in fear, you
Right.
know?
Right.
To change your belief on, and that's just an example, obviously it's a very extreme example, but yeah, like a lot of it's too painful to even entertain the other, what if
I,
this was real? I mean, how hard is that to swallow?
right.
Right.
See, even those kind of people questioning it, I think one thing is if they're so identified with being American or being patriotic or something like that, that it's almost like they'd be stabbing themselves or something, or they feel someone really stabbing who they are
For sure.
for finding that information out,
Yeah, it's challenging the very core of who they believe
who they
themselves.
believe themselves to be. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the only other reason why somebody wouldn't ask questions is because they just don't think that there's a question to be asked.
Yeah,
It's
well, a
just,
lot of
you
people,
know,
they're trusting in nature, and they don't believe
trusting, naive. I don't know if those are,
anything that they see on the television or that someone else that they trust has told them. Why would they lie? That's what they believe. There's no
Mhm,
way that that person would lie to me, you
mhm.
know. And then we go back to what we were just talking about. How painful is that now to know that you've been lied to, or to even entertain the idea that you might possibly have been lied to
Yeah,
by
Mhm.
these
I
people you
think
trust.
that's one of the biggest ones, Ryan, that you mentioned. That's one of the biggest reasons people won't look at things for what they are. It's because they've already invested in their conclusion. And but I think another one, something I picked up on, I think a lot of people would rather appear to be smart rather than actually be smart. So I think a lot of people are going to just say vaccines are good for you because that's the line to take. If you take a different line than that, then all of a sudden you're a crazy person.
Right. You won't have that support. You won't get that validation from everyone.
Right. And
Right,
if you've been fighting on that side of any issue for so long, then you also don't want to be wrong, you know?
Yeah, that'd be the worst thing.
Yeah, you also don't want to be wrong because you've been telling people for years that this is
Uh,
the way things are. And so now if someone's coming at you with a challenging idea, you don't want to be wrong. You don't want to be the guy that's been wrong for 20 years,
mhm.
maybe longer. No one wants to be that person. So yeah, that makes it difficult as well. But like going back to the inclusion thing, all this stuff we're talking about is it all just seems like more ways to push us apart. you know
Mhm.
there's always two or more sides to every story, and it's always, there's always misinformation on every side, and it seems like it all just gets us fighting with each other rather than actually having a conversation.
So let me ask you this. What is the importance and why is it important to ask questions?
um well, I believe, for me, it's important. I change my viewpoints a lot. There's a lot of things that I believed 2 years ago that I don't believe anymore.
Mhm.
I'm very flexible in my beliefs. If someone poses something to me, I'll look into it, I'll research it, and I'm willing to admit that I'm wrong. And
Mhm.
that is the importance of it. But if you can't do that, then it makes it very difficult, because the questions just kind of fly right over your head, and then now you're just fighting and arguing rather than actually being like, that's interesting. This person has a viewpoint which could be equally as valid as my own viewpoint.
right,
And if you can't look at somebody like that and you're like, no, this person's crazy, they're stupid, you know what I mean?
right.
If that's your instant reaction, then I don't know if you'll ever get through to that person until you can get them to look at you as themselves, as another human being, and that you have these viewpoints or these ideas or these beliefs that are just as valid as their own beliefs.
Mhm.
Like, if you can't see that, then it's hard to have a good conversation that involves questions, because it just turns into an argument.
Mhm. No, I
They might they
totally
might
agree.
not be just as valid, but they might think they're just as valid. That's an important distinction to
That's what
make.
I mean. I mean, in their world, in their, what's going on with them, it's just as valid to them as
Right,
yours is to you.
right.
Maybe it's not right or correct, but they believe it just as strongly as you believe what you're saying, and that makes it valid in their world.
You
And
know, the
just
ironic thing, man, is that when you come to a place where you feel like you know the truth about a certain topic or a certain subject, you aren't that passionate about it. But when you're brainwashed, you're very passionate about what you've been brainwashed with, because you can't really be that passionate about the truth. You kind of have to learn to lay back and just watch the people bullshit. You know what I mean? But you asked Justin. You asked what's the point of asking a question. It's like Ryan said, just to get a different perspective. It's just to look at things from a different perspective.
Mhm. Mhm. I was I was seeing it as at least in my own experience, and I think everyone kind of relates. I think to get to something real, the only way to do it is by asking questions, whether it's finding the truth about an event that happened, or whether it's getting real with like a partner, or with some friends, or with yourself. um I think it starts with I mean even Sadhguru has touched so much on the about asking questions and how his life became a question.
Right.
And so I think to really get in touch with something real. Um, I think step one is you've got to be willing and have the courage, because when you, like what you guys said, when you poke into something, something else might come out, and you have to have the courage to face whatever comes up, to face what you might find out.
And you got to have a sense of wonder too. And think about the word wonder. I mean, what a beautiful word, right?
Yeah, I
Like,
like it.
not just I wonder, but having a sense of wonder. Like, what a beautiful thing that is. As soon as you think you know something 100%, your sense of wonder is gone.
Yeah, that's very
Don't wonder
true.
anymore. You have this fixed viewpoint, rock solid, and you have to wonder about it. You have to go through life with a sense of wonder. I
Life
wonder
is more exciting when you're asking questions, man.
yeah, absolutely.
Isn't it? It's more exciting. It can get more inclusive if we're asking questions.
Yeah. I mean, if you have this very fixed point of view and no sense of wonder, you might as well be a rock, bro. Like
I
you
think
might
rocks have more wonder than that, man. To be honest, there's some really wondrous rocks out here.
Yeah, I mean, even rocks change. It might take them 10,000 years to go through a period of change, but even rocks change.
Very true.
I
Yeah.
think psychedelics, man, psychedelics are relevant to what you guys are saying, because you're talking about no, you're talking about asking questions, and if you poke here, something else might come out over there.
Mm-hmm.
You never really know.
Uh-huh.
Like when you really get into it, when you really dive deep, it's gonna make you ask questions, and it's gonna make you have a sense of wonder. Those two things, psychedelics embody that to me.
Yeah, well, the psychedelic experience and the experience that mystics talk about are very similar. I mean, it's like a shortcut almost.
Hmm.
I'm not trying to invalidate psychedelics at all. I've experimented with them a lot, but the only problem with psychedelics compared to like the mystical experience is the psychedelics, they eventually drop you, and then you're back where you started. You might have some new ideas and some new stuff, but you're dependent on that now. You got to do that again to get back there. Whereas if you go through the spiritual process, to reach those same states, it's more sustainable.
Right.
But it is like people who meditate a lot, or not even a lot, just intensely meditate,
Mm-hmm.
they can get into a very similar state as the psychedelic state. And they've done brain scans on these people, so science is even backing it up. Somebody who's taken a high dose of mushrooms, compared to somebody who's been meditating for 20 years and goes into a meditative state, the same regions of the brain light up. So and not only that, not only the scientific part about it, but the stuff they talk about that they see and experience there is very similar.
I I don't doubt the potential for what meditation can do, but I was just listening to Terrence McKenna, man, and he was talking about how no one goes into an ashram with their knees shaking because what they're about to experience, what they're about to take part in. No one goes into an ashram trembling, but if you load a pipe full of DMT, your ass is gonna be sweating, you're gonna be shaking. Like, so there's an element of realness to the psychedelic experience.
Well, it hits you right now.
Yeah, that's
That's
a
the
force
anticipation.
opening, right?
It's so hard and right now, whereas meditation, it's gradual, and so there's
Right.
no fear there because you're making a gradual progression. Whereas you hit that DMT pipe, you're getting 20 years of meditation, meditating 20 hours a day all in one fucking rip, and so
Right.
it's scary. It's taking you somewhere you're not ready for almost.
If you came to the ashram and for the first time, if you never meditated and you heard all those people going crazy, you would be terrified to meditate. Believe me.
That's
No, I've seen people like actually run out of the temple there before when that's going on. When it gets
Mhm.
really intense, I've seen people just go, and like I imagine they just got in their car and bounced because I never saw them.
There's a freak show going on in there. Psychedelics, I won't deny them either. I think that they can be excellent teachers. But I think if you draw the idea that you can like arrive there by taking enough psychedelics, I think that's like where it starts failing you. But I think I mean for me, I've learned so much from psychedelics.
They're
I
really
feel
good at showing you what's possible.
yeah, I feel like
But
some of my most intense, just real experiences came from psychedelics. Um, so they've definitely showed like what's possible.
yeah, they open your mind to different realities, to different possibilities, you know, and you can't just sit someone down and have them meditate and show them that, unfortunately, you know.
Right.
But I will say that I would have never gone down the spiritual path, more than likely, if I had never done my first dose of psychedelics. I was fundamentally changed after that because
Right.
Hmm.
Right.
what I saw there felt very real to me, you know,
Hmm.
and all these stories you hear about, oh, you're going to see, you know, pink elephants and unicorns and all that stuff. I've never seen any of that. That's hallucinatory. I've never seen any of that. What I saw was the fabric of reality. Like I saw a deeper reality where everything was connected. You know, all the stuff that I had read about the sages and spiritualists talking about, I saw it and I felt it. And it
Hmm.
felt real. It didn't feel like I was hallucinating. I
Yeah.
hate the word hallucinogen. That's why I like saying psychedelics, because it didn't feel like a hallucination. You know, I didn't see animals or like bears talking to me or anything weird like that ever. And I've done massive doses before, you know.
Hmm.
uh but yeah, it I feel like it showed me what was possible and it sent me down the spiritual path, you know.
Yeah. If I one of the most powerful experiences for me, I love how this took a psychedelic turn, is when I did ayahuasca the first time. Shit, that was literally, I think, everything that I could have ever wanted to experience from taking something, even even from like doing meditation, like trying to get the real thing, was in that was in that trip. That was and same thing. I wouldn't call it a hallucination. I mean, it was like a real experience I was having for like hours and stuff, you know, really
Yeah,
feeling it, really having at least a sense of embodiment of how deep this thing can get.
yeah.
And
You know, there's a reason why the shamans the shamans and the sages were at the center of the community, you know, for millennia. You know, it's just recently, you know, in the last you know, 4 or 5 thousand years that it's been a slow decline of that, where we're more focused on science and pharmaceuticals and that kind of medicine, whereas back in the day you'd, you know, it was a coming of age. It was a rite of passage where you would go and you'd see the shaman when you turned 16 and he'd give you this substance and you'd be humbled. You know, you'd take it and
mhm,
you'd be, holy crap, I'm not who I thought I was. You know, I'm everything. And you would see that, or you'd be people with spontaneous healings from ayahuasca ceremonies. You know, there's been people that have had drug addictions and even cancers have been healed that way. And I'm not saying if you have cancer, go do ayahuasca and it's going to heal you, because it doesn't always happen like that. But there is a spiritual healing that takes place in a lot of these ceremonies. And you know, it doesn't happen to everybody, but you have to be in the right frame of mind, the right set and setting, and it can be very powerful.
take the right
I,
dosage and
I do believe that you can reach that through a spiritual process. The only problem is discipline, and in this day and
yeah,
age, we are all lacking discipline
yeah,
across the board. You know,
yeah.
you have to have discipline. You can't waver. You've got to have a one-pointed focus and only move in that direction. You can't be off in all these different directions. Like meditate for 10 days and then you don't do it for a week. You know, then you're back at it. You gotta keep at it. Whereas with the psychedelics, you just do it. You have your experience, and then you know you can't just keep doing that every day either, though. So ultimately, you got to cultivate the discipline. I think if you want to sustain it, if you want to sustain that state of mind.
100%. And boys,
Yeah.
any anything else we want to beat on?
I mean, I think this has been a damn good first show. I think we should do whatever we can to get it out there and see if people dig it, man.
Sure, for sure.
I feel like we barely touched on anything, honestly.
That's why we gotta keep doing it.
Yeah. This was just scratching the surface.
Yeah, we gotta keep doing this. We gotta make it a thing, and that all goes back to discipline as well, right? We gotta be disciplined, and we gotta set a time and a place to do this, and just make it a thing, you know.
No, this was dope. This was dope, and I appreciate you guys being on and sharing your insights. And I mean, I feel like I feel like I sometimes like I know things, but then I hear other ideas, and it's like, wow, I really don't really know much of anything, you know. And so I think this is going to be a real great learning experience for me, at least, and I'm sure all around.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I look forward to educating you.
Oh man. All right, boys.
Was this Deep Pockets?
Deep Pockets #1. I'm gonna turn this thing off right now.